I want to call, am I allowed to call you Marty? Because everyone
Yeah,
calls you.
yeah, sure. No, Scott calls me Marty. Lisa too. Yeah, yeah.
Do you want me to call you Mr. Scorsese? I don't know what to call
No,
you.
no, Marty. No, please. Marty is fine.
Okay.
Marty is
Everyone
fine.
says Marty to me, and then so I didn't know if that's how
No,
you
it's
prefer to
I'm in
be.
this room. This is it. This is the room. This is who I am.
This is your Marty in this room. Okay, great.
That's right. Dealing with Shirley Jackson. I mean, did you, trying to visualize or tell a story about a writer is almost impossible to show when they're doing their process, when they're in the middle of it, when they're working through their process, is almost impossible visually. And I wondered how you approach that in this. I mean, yes, you have a few shots of the type and the typesetting, which is a lot of fun, but really there's something else going on, and it's one of the best expressions, I think, in a film of a writer and a writer's life.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for saying that. That's, it was interesting because what was something exciting about, I guess, maybe it's, I don't want to say about the way I make movies in general, but it was exciting about this process, but it also has been true of my previous processes, is that I think because I started out working in documentary, you kind of get this understanding that so much can be defined in the edit room, and that and to not be afraid of that, but to use that as a tool. And so actually my editor, David Barker, who was the editor on Shirley and also actually was the editor on Thou Wast Mild and Lovely and consulted on my other two films, we watched on Shirley some of the early cuts, and we realized the end of the film, it's really important that you have felt where she's at with the journey of this book, and that the writing of the book is so central to her and central to her experience. But we realized that so much of the movie was actually about relationships, and we weren't really deep into her relationship with the book, and it wasn't necessarily something that was dramatized in the way that the relationship was played out in the movie. And so he had the idea of adding this voiceover, of putting voiceover and hearing the writing of the book, so that you could kind of sense where is.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny because I don't think of it as voiceover.
Oh yeah, well, good. That's great.
It seems to be part of a dialogue of some kind.
Yes, yeah,
I didn't
exactly.
realize you have voiceover in there.
Yeah, I'm so glad. But I think it was an exciting discovery, and it felt like when we realized that we could do that, and then Sarah wrote some incredible words that were sort of her idea of first drafts of different section of Hang's a Man. I think we realized that it was not only a way to show where Shirley was in relationship to her writing, but also how her relationship with Rose was playing out in the book. And so that you could kind of feel, is she getting closer? What is she using of Rose in the book? And is Rose inspiring her? And so, yeah, so it felt really central. And I'm glad that like subconscious journey, feels like it played out. And it's something that I was going to actually ask you, is because I was thinking how central voiceover has been to your work, and how, was there kind of a turning point when you feel like you started to be really drawn to using voiceover, or was that something that you kind of, I guess I was wondering, was there like an aha moment when you realized what voiceover could do, and which film you feel like you were kind of went, yes.
Well, I think I could go way back, and that is that I loved storytelling because, as I said, it never really came from a culture that read books. I was taken to movies. I saw films on TV. I had the terrible asthma, so I couldn't go anywhere. Excuse me. But I found that stories, the voice of the narrator, particularly in British films, particularly in a top example is Kind Hearts and Coronets. It kind of clashed with narration in Italian and French New Wave films. And right around that time, I started to make my own films.
Yes.
It clashed, but it seemed to fall in place. And along with people I knew who could tell great stories on the street corner, my father telling stories, my mother, the humor and the irony, as you should say, or the seriousness of some of these stories were powerful. later expressed as my father played in Goodfellas when he has to tell Bob De Niro on the phone that Joe Pesci was killed. That's my father's voice.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, telling him there was a problem.
Well, and it's interesting too. I mean, this is my first project working on a film that based on a real human being, which is so much, you know, in a way it was nice because I don't think I ever felt the pressure to make it, you know, to be like beholden to the real Shirley, because we were adapting this fictional novel but it was so wonderful to have this whole life to draw on for inspiration. And you just realize how much stranger and how much more complex, you know, reality is than fiction. And it gives you so much, you know, to journey into, which is
exactly
what it boggles me when I'm watching, you know, when I'm watching your movies, and you have this great way of journeying into also just the little bizarre character quirks, you know, of your actors that make it so much fun. And I was just thinking of the blueberry muffins and the standing up from the chair and the in the
well,
drawers.
yeah, he doesn't want to ruin the crease. That makes sense. If you got a wardrobe like that, you have to take care of it. You got to make sure nobody's in the room. When somebody comes in, you go put your pants on. It's fine.
You don't want to ruin the crease. I had no idea why. I was like, why?
No, it's the crease.
That's incredible.
You wrinkle everything.
Oh, Marty. Oh, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to see you and to talk to you.
You too.
I just love it so much. I want to honor your time, but I want to talk to you for 3 more hours.